like that's just a fucked up situation to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, Carl, I don't know what else we can really ask. I think every question
Yeah, well,
that I
I just
wanted
want
to
to know,
ask was pretty
like,
much asked.
you said that you don't take care of the books, but you were aware of what were on them. Is that correct?
As far as what, like expenses go?
Expenses and the fact that the cash was sitting there. Have you been aware of that the
The
entire
only thing that
time?
I did not know, I was not aware the entire time that the money was not being donated. I was aware that I was reclaiming my costs and the expenses, but we had to make sure, because it's legally speaking, you have to do it, otherwise it's against the law, that it was under a certain amount and that it wasn't too much for, and purely just to, like, buying hot sauces or, paying for the dumb shit that we do during the show. Like,
Yeah.
the expenses were never more than a certain amount, and it was always, it's like it was less than a couple, like 5% at most of the total earnings, just to reimburse my company if the expenditure was big. We didn't even reclaim it every year, because sometimes, and most of the time, all we're really quote unquote paying for is people's free time, and everyone's donating it because it's charity. So
yeah.
that's the only expense that I know of. It's the only expense that I've ever really seen. And to be above board about it all, like, I've always been like, hey, if the expense is too much, don't fucking worry about it. Like, I'll take care of, I'll hate the loss, because it's, in my mind, it's all going to charity anyways. It's all going to a good cause, and I'm not trying to embezzle shit. I'm just trying to do things right.
Well, that's just money you're spending from your own, like, that's just a check you're writing personally. There's nothing, wrong about that.
So did anyone?
And I'm not writing into the foundation. So
yeah, did anyone tell you?
You weren't notified that the money was sitting there the whole time?
I knew it was sitting there at a certain point, and that's what made me proactively go about it. Like,
do you know when that point was?
I was made aware in 2021 when the money hadn't moved yet. Okay. And that's what made me go, that's not fucking cool. And that's when I got personally involved to move it. And
did anyone?
2021, last year, 2022.
Yeah, did anyone tell you that the money was going somewhere before then? Were you being misled?
No. No one told me anything. I assumed that it was all going to a charity, and I assumed incorrectly.
Okay, so you still thought it was going to the UCSF?
Whether it's UCSF or a partner that's not listed on our website, because we don't have any other benefactors currently. Like, that's why I was like, well, they're taking care of it, but nothing was ever brought to my attention. I just knew that conversations were happening between Alzheimer's Association of America, AFTD Foundation, UCSF started a new organization, I think called like Bluefin or Blue Group, which is like supposed to be their 501c part of their organization. So I know I have a paper trail of us talking to other organizations as early as 2020 and 2021 in an attempt to pay them what they were owed. And most of the conversations we had from some of the bigger orgs like Alzheimer's, they were like, look, if you're not going to pay more than 6 figures or 6+ figures of what they asked for, then you're just going to waste it. So the goal on the back end for my family that I've been told is like, we're just going to raise a bunch of money and then give it to one org and like make a bigger impact rather than just giving smaller donations that don't move the needle.
Yeah, like, see, now the thing is, this wouldn't really even have been a story at all had whoever was running your website or your social media channels had just made that an apparent fact, to start off with. But the problem is, like, when you read the comments of some of the people that are donating, they think that money is going right there that year, right? Because that's just what any viewer is going to expect, right? Like, if I ran a charity for, like, the Palestinian, like, Israeli conflict, they would think that if I raised $1 million, like, on demand, or at least shortly after that stream, that money would be immediately connected to, like, an actual charitable organization. And that money wouldn't even touch my accounts. It would just go somewhere else. So that's what I guess people would have reasonably assumed, especially when they read like the articles from Dual Shockers where they read the headlines. It's like 80,000, 100,000 raised for dementia research. But if it's just sitting in an account, obviously, I think people are going to be very, very, very angry if they just see the filings as they are now.
Sure. I mean, look, I'm not trying to say, please don't make videos on me, because that's just what's going to happen. I can't stop you guys from doing your thing. What I do want to do is do the right thing possible, because in my mind, I mean, the most important thing to me right now in all of this is that, one, I'm not trying to dishonor or ruin the legacy of my mother who put me here. The reason why I'm on YouTube and why I'm here is because of the life that she's given me and the things that I have. Oh, you guys there? Hello?
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, my phone just suddenly won't light up. What the fuck? My phone is acting like it just died.
I can still hear you fine.
Too hot. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
The last thing I want to do is ruin the legacy of my family, of my mom and her memory, especially because this is such a personal thing for the last 25 years of my life. You know, I'm not trying to be like, do you guys want money to help me hide this? It's not what this is at all. I'm just asking from a humanity perspective of like, if I am the target of this, I have 20 mouths to feed. I have sponsors. I have a business. I'm trying to make video games. I'm trying to get out of content creation so I don't have to worry about YouTube anymore and do better things in the world. And I just know because of my track record of things like G4 exploding, me being friends with JonTron when he was a racist, you know, I've been a part of like, you know, Pro Jared, like pulling one thread about the charity thing is going to upheave my entire life in a way that scares the living crap out of me. And I don't want to go home tonight and tell everyone, hey, there is a gigantic thing coming to claim my career and you all have to close down and find somewhere else to do. I know this is shitting me to say this. I'm not trying to ask for sympathy or anything, but this kind of stuff, I mean, I've been following your guys' stuff for years. The stuff with Billy Mitchell, Carl, the stuff that you've done, Muto, with tons of content creators over the years. Like, there's no nuance to this. People are going to see this and they're going to immediately go, that Jirard guy who's been nice to a bunch of people actually isn't very nice overall. Fuck him. Let's get rid of him. And that's the thing that I'm terrified the most because I don't have the power or opportunity for that. That's not in my control. I've got nothing in my pockets to do that. I have nothing. And so that's just where my head's at. I just want to be able to create content and do good in the world. And this is just going to, even if I survive this somehow, even if this is like, people are like, well, whatever, that's how it is. It's going to take the passion out of what I do. People aren't going to trust me ever again. I'm not going to trust myself ever again. And I'm just going to walk away from all this. Like, this is like me being like, great, so I'm out. Not just of content creation or being an online personality. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to disappear and start over and never talk to anyone ever again. And that's the spiraling that I've been dealing with the last 3 days of talking to therapists and doctors and just figuring this whole thing out. Because I knew this was coming a couple of days ago because of the email. And I'm like, well.
Nope, I think you DC'd. Give him like a minute.
Yeah.
Fuck, this is heavy. I mean, my personal belief is I really do feel like this is the internal civil war. I mean, he says, what can I do to make it right? Honestly, the thing he can really do is just send that money to an actual organization in its entirety. I think $600,000 plus is enough money to make an actual difference, right?
It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he can make a difference or not. He asked people for money. That has to go somewhere. It doesn't matter what he does. That's a red herring.
Yeah,
but the money has to go somewhere. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But saying that I didn't want to give it here or there.
This wasn't even such a personal thing. Fuck, dude. It's heavy. But I mean, the story is the story, right? Like, fuck, what's gonna?
It's just unfortunate.
What it is.
Yeah. I mean,
do you believe when he says that him and his dad are having this thing with each other? Because I find it like I kind of believe it in the sense that he knows that this could have blowed back on him, and he is the face of this organization. But I mean, it is family, right? Or do you think it's like he's just trying to throw his dad under the bus?
But he even in 2023, he was saying that they're working with Alzheimer's organization, UCSF. You know, like doesn't appear to be that way when he's talking about it on Indie Land recently. It seems like he was just saying that they're supporting all these if he's upset that they weren't supporting these people, why is he publicly saying that they are supporting them? Like, it's just like completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Like he was just lying because he's saying that he knew that it was just sitting there, and then publicly saying that they are supporting these places. So he's admitted that he was lying, and it was not ignorance.
Yeah. So I think we have more than enough, to be honest. I think that's a pretty damning call.
Hopefully he comes back just to put a lid on what he was saying.
We'll wait a couple minutes for it, I guess. But I mean, he genuinely, like, at the end of the day, I don't know what he expected, to be honest. It's like I can't personally be guilted into not covering the story now, and I don't think anybody would be, right? Like, it's kind of like if Logan Paul sat down with you and told you, like, hey, please don't do this. I'm like, that's the story as it is, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like the thing is like, if this was some fucking financial scam, it'd be a lot easier because it'd be nothing to do it. But I do feel bad because this was founded in like his mom's name. But you know,
well, that's not some. You know, it's that just makes it worse. You know, it just makes it their actions worse. It's not like I gotta feel bad for. I mean, I feel bad for the employees and the people that helped with Indieland that weren't involved with Open Hand, you know? People who have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the people who think they're doing something good and they're like invested in it. I don't feel bad for him because he...
The story for this is like, obviously if you got employees working for you and people, it's like, they don't know that they were inadvertently the faces of this organization, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, and I mean, I'll make a parallel in my video. I'm like, you know, it's kind of like crypto scams themselves, right? Like when you're the influencer in the face of an operation, it's like what happens with the actual operation, they never get hit the most. It's the people that are the faces, right? So in this case, it's like Jirard and like the people that work for him are the ones that have the egg on their face. So it's like, what do you do from here, right? Like, do you donate that money and try to alleviate the situation? Sure. But like, this makes me personally question a lot of other YouTuber charities, right? Like, because here's the thing, the IRS didn't catch this. Nobody else caught this. A whistleblower, me, had to sit down and we figured this whole thing out in like a week, right? And then to get kind of snarky responses from the organization. Hey, yeah, you disconnected for a little bit. Your phone? Oh, I think he's still trying to sync up with us. I think it's still trying to connect. Oh. Hello? I think is might be a phone thing. Look at it a little bit. But yeah, I don't really know much more to go off. I don't think there's any question worth asking. I think this call was definitely good to have because, at least from my video, I will definitely shut on the fact that there are, I know it's off the record, but I can say that there are differences behind the scenes between Jirard and a few of the directors. And that's one of the reasons why the money wasn't moved, right? Like, at least I think it's fair to provide. No?
There's no... What?
Or at least
Jirard's like,
is,
you
right?
think that's the claim, but do you think that Jirard would say, hey, we need to donate this money, and his dad's like, no, we're keeping it? I just don't believe that conversation would happen.
Yeah.
Like really? Someone in their family is like saying, no, I'm not giving away this money that you raised?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's I don't know. We you know, you can just say that there are claims, and then you can just like tell the audience like, now you can just believe what you want to believe out of this. We just did all the due diligence, so we're covering our asses, right?
Should we get a like a Jirard to write something,
like a written statement?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. We can just ask him. It's
If
like,
he-
if you could write a written statement of your side, you know. Yeah, we can just write it in. Okay, we know you're having connection issues at the moment. I think we pretty much asked all we needed to ask. If you would be comfortable in writing your thoughts or a statement for us, just so we can have your side to present. That's all. I think he's having a, or he's just connecting in. But yeah. Whew. It's gonna be a video. I think it's just like, yeah, he's having those things over there. We can probably just, yeah.
Yeah, we'll just
You wanna
go.
dip
Yeah,
call?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll step into a different call. Oh boy, that was fuck me. I think it does make it bad that this was definitely the mom, and they were doing it in her name. Okay, I'll just say it right now. There was definitely there was a lot of guilt tripping throughout that entire video,
Yes.
or throughout that entire call. We absolutely have to cover this just for this fact that this is an actual piece of fraud. Like, this is legitimate fraud. There's no question about it.
Mhm.
The whole idea of because we have clips of him talking about charities, right? That's not. Hello?
So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you. Yeah.
To answer your question, Carl, I don't have an answer. You know, I think that's my fuck up. I have personally donated to AFTD and Alzheimer's Association over the years, and that's where, again, I assumed the money was going there to support them as we were talking negotiations about working with them. I don't really have a true answer for that, and that's on me completely, and I will own up to that. But you know, again, it doesn't fucking matter. You guys are going to say what you're going to say, and I can't stop it. But the important thing is that all the money is still in the account. None of it's spent erroneously. It's all above board. Like, it's not hiding in a Cayman account or anything like that. And that's the thing about 501c's, is that, like, if I did any of that, the minute I did any malpractice of that nature, literally the government would be like, hey, we're coming after you. And that's, you know, at least legally speaking, everything's above board. And I understand that the question isn't so much legality and so much more about morality and, you know, me advertising this event and showing people sponsors and all that stuff. I totally get it. And you know, I don't know how much you guys heard of me before my phone died. And I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk. But you know, I'm at your guys' mercy as to what to do. What would you rather have me do in the public space right now to do right by you guys? Because that's all I want to do is do the right thing, and I'm gonna have ramifications no matter what way I turn it. I just want to be able to handle this appropriately and move forward.
Honestly, for me, it was just be like, so again, just to recap everything so far. You guys have been running the Open Hand Foundation. It is your guys' 501c. You ran Indieland. You moved money from your Indieland yearly into this account, and you believe that for a while the money was being donated. And
Dude,
there was
to
a bit
clarify,
of a...
to clarify, the Indie. I did not take any. Me and my team did not touch any of the money personally through Indieland. It was all connected through the appropriate Tiltify and all the 501c orgs that are on Tiltify. So it's not like I was moving money to wash things by any means. Just to clarify that we are officially through Tiltify and through the above board right means. I did not move anything, any money for that. Just because the way you said that made it seem like I was moving money into accounts, and I that's not what I did by any means.
Oh no,
But just
my clarification. Go ahead.
I guess on that topic, I mean, yeah. So, but Openhand was paying expenses on behalf of Indieland, correct?
Sorry, what was that?
So Indieland is a separate thing from Openhand. But
Correct.
Were you saying that Openhand was paying expenses for Indieland though?
Only some years, and no more than a couple $1,000 depending on the year. If it was too much money, just to make it right, because you're not supposed to really do that especially when you have no operating expenses.
Mm-hmm.
I'd only reimburse myself, and I did it appropriately through the open hand when applicable, but not every year, and no more than a couple $1,000 maximum.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a safe haven of like moving money and spending money on purpose. Because
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
that
you
all
were-
goes
yeah,
against.
But
okay.
Openhand,
Yeah, that all
Openhand
goes
and Indieland they have to be kind of the same entity in a way. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an expense of Openhand to pay for Indieland if they weren't, kind of one and the same. If that makes sense.
Sorry, could you ask the question?
Yeah. So
Can you ask the question again, or clarify?
yeah. So Openhand and Indieland are connected because Openhand is
Because of me.
No, because Openhand is paying for Indieland. Otherwise, Indieland, if it was a separate entity, Indieland would be paying for itself, not Openhand. If that makes sense.
Correct, but not every year. Not every year does Indieland get paid for by Openhand. It comes from me and Indieland is not its own organization. The company that I founded for the Completionist is the company that puts on Indieland and all of our charity events. And typically speaking, we don't reimburse ourselves unless it's paramount to how much money we spent. But it's never been more than a couple grand, and it's not been every year. It's only been a handful of years.
Okay. All right. I guess to really come down to it, the reason your reasoning for the money or at least the company's or organization's reasoning for the money being in the account that wasn't really distributed to these charities year after year is because of the fact that some of these organizations told you that if you donated too insignificant of an amount instead of a large amount, it would not do as much good.
Correct. That was what was conveyed to me multiple times from multiple organizations.
Okay. Yeah, and again, this is just me like bringing it up from the record. It's like some of these organizations, like the Alzheimer's Foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Alzheimer's, it's an association of Alzheimer's, I believe, is what it's called.
Association of Alzheimer's. So again, with these organizations, it's like it almost like the way that you make it sound is like it's almost like if I went to their websites and donated $20, they would kind of tell me, "Hey, donate more because it's just going to go to administrative fees," right? Like that's it makes it hard to kind of believe that point. You know what I mean? And for us, it's like when you say that you've been in talks with these organizations. What do you mean like in talks? Is it like a long-term partnership? Couldn't you like have written them a check right there and then for this specific year and then year after year, like the money comes in and out?
Yeah, the idea was we wanted to donate the money to an organization so that they could send a representative or someone from their organization to come forward and talk about all the good that we've done working with them and making them like the new benefactor that we've been looking for, or multiple benefactors depending on the amount of money that was donated.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So as of now, the money, as far as your understanding, that $660,000 roughly is still sitting in your like that charity account, waiting for a benefactor at the right time.
I mean, as of this week, we've been having conversations about moving it as early as today or tomorrow, just because the pressure I got from you guys, if I'm being quite honest. Not that I was trying to save face, but like this is a private fight that I've been dealing with for months with my family, and I even told my family, hey, this is the last Indieland I'm ever going to do, because this is the 10th year anniversary of my mom's passing, and when I kind of found all this information out, I was very unhappy with what things were going, and the ramifications of this are going to be massive for everything I've ever done in the space, and
Well, have you read the response that Jacques gave?
Which one?
Well, both. Have
The
you
first
read?
one or the second one?
Have you read any of them?
I read the first one, but I have not been around today
Okay.
to see the second one.
Because he said that what Open Hand was doing was ethical, and they haven't done anything wrong, etc. So it's kind of definitely conflicting opinions on whether or not what was going on was, appropriate or not.
Well, I think the ethicalness of it is talking about the government and the laws and how the organization on paper is. Like, we've never, again, no one has ever gotten paid any kind of personal expense or salary, or like there's no tax front. There's no one doing anything erroneous. We're not shifting money and hiding it from people. It's all, every dollar's been accounted for and is there. And
yeah, no one insinuated that. Like, personally, I didn't insinuate that. We were just asking why the money wasn't donated. It wasn't.
Yeah, because if that was a reality, the public filings would have just showcased that you guys would have worked more than 0 hours and you would have charged money to yourselves. So nobody should logically be making that specific claim. It's just the idea of ethicality when year after year you can run events and you get the article that say we raised $80,000 for dementia research, and the audience is led to believe that money is going somewhere when in reality it's just sitting in an account. And as of today, right now in this call, no one has been the beneficiary, at least in some quantitative capacity. And that's really where the idea of charity fraud comes into, because what we received in the second response privately, if that was public knowledge, like when people were donating at the time, this wouldn't even be an issue, right? Like, we wouldn't talk about this, we wouldn't have this discussion. But now that it's, you can look through public filings and you can see the story by yourself, it becomes a different situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to ask for forgiveness. I'm not trying to hide this, but what would you guys like me to do? Because I want to do right by everyone involved on my side, and I want to absolve myself of this as best I can, and I know I can't. And you guys are some of the biggest creators in the space. When you guys whatever you guys will say, this is gonna follow me for the rest of my life, and I just want to be able to do right by you guys and by my community and by my family at this point. And I just want, like, I literally am about to like donate all this money today and prior to that, earlier this week and the week before, and I've just been sitting here crippled trying to figure out the best way to handle this, because I felt like if I donated the money the minute you guys emailed me, it'd be a situation of, well, he's trying to hide it and he's admitting guilt by doing that. And I never felt that way, but I understand completely that you guys could easily argue that, and it would just make me look more like a scumbag. And, I just want to, I want to do right by you guys and what you think. When you guys got the email and I said, please tell us about benefactors, that was genuine, because I haven't found a benefactor that I'm completely happy with. And I want to make sure that this money goes to a good cause in honor of my mom. And I'm upset that the conversations I've had haven't gone the way that I wanted. And I'm willing at this point to just donate the money to whoever. I want it to go in the right spot. Yeah. I don't want it to go to some doctor's salary or some expense bill for a massive organization that it's not going to do anything for. So I guess what I'm asking you guys is, what do you want me to do as soon as possible? If it's like, hey, Jirard, we want you to shut up and take the L so we can make content, that's fine. If that's what you guys think is the way to go, to call it a scam, sure. But I'm not trying to scam anyone. I would never try and scam in honor of my mom. Like, this is, I would not be outward facing knowing that I can get raked through the coals for this, when I know and say every year we're a 501c3 organization where everything is public. You know what I mean? Like, it's contradictory for me to be like, it's going to a good cause, but also I'm tax evading or embezzling or whatever it may be. So
no one's suggesting that.
No, there's no tax evasion. No, nobody's, again, like, looking through the 501c like filings. no one could say in a million years that what you were doing is indicative. Hold on, let me just actually delete something off of the system here. According to the tax filing, according to the filings, nobody could say that you were moving money. Like I said, nobody was being charged or billed hours. So you're kind of like, in my opinion, that's not even a point to be talking about. Just doesn't really apply in this situation. The only thing, and I feel like that you should do that could make the situation better, is that $60,000 that's currently sitting. That should, instead of being earmarked like we were told by a member of the organization today, should actually be going to a beneficiary, because at the end of the day, $660,000 is going to make a difference, right? And it should have made a difference in the last several years as this foundation was operating and receiving these grants. And that's really what you can do. It's like, there's no shame in realizing that things got fucking wild behind the scenes, but the only way to make it right is not to let the money sit there anymore and to actually, I guess, let it do work. But I don't know, like it's I think the deception angle, because it is in a way a deceptive angle for the last several years that this has been happening, right? And it's
right.
It was going to have to come out at some point when somebody was going to look into the filings, right? It could have been us, it could have been Coffee, it could have been anybody. And that's just how the situation has unfolded.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Carl? What are your thoughts?
I don't know, because it's a tough situation. I honestly don't have a good answer. I mean, the question, there's two questions here. One is more important. The more important question is what morally should be done, which is just the money donated. And then, because I mean, that's what you've been saying. That's what you've been saying. That's what this is all about, ultimately. You said you were going to do something that hasn't been done, so it must be done. And then, as far as how to come out of this in the best way possible publicly, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know. That's gonna have to be like between you and the community, but I think nobody should. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't like. You're not, and I'm gonna say it like it is, like you're not like the people that I usually look into the space, like Logan Paul. So I am coming at this from an incredibly sympathetic angle. I'm not doing this to rake anything over the coals. It's just a matter of the fact, like, this is one of those situations when I looked at it, I was very flabbergasted. And I think looking into this situation, what really fucks with me personally the most is now I'm going to question a lot of other YouTuber charities or a lot of other YouTuber events, because when I'm like, when we're receiving letters from the organization, the Open Hand Foundation, really anyone that says, hey, we're a 501c charity, we have to follow US federal law, everything, that's great. But what we just witnessed here is, a charity operating, making these claims, saying that you're working with people, when in reality, the money's just kind of sitting there. It's going to make me question almost every YouTuber charity that I've ever donated to or worked with. And I think that's the thing that fucks with me the most, more than just this story, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's really all that can be said. At least that's all I have to say. Carl, if you want to say anything else.
No, I definitely feel for you though. I'm
for sure. I mean, this is a big civil thing.
Yeah, it's obviously not a good situation, but
I take it that you guys are dead set on making pieces about this.
I mean, I'm definitely covering this. I know Carl is, and if Carl is, I am as well too. It's kind of a two for. We both been working on this, so it's really just contingent on one or the other.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. I guess that's all she wrote. All right. Well, I appreciate your guys' patience and understanding. Not much I can really do here. So.
No, well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I appreciate you talking.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming here, being forthcoming. I know that obviously you've been in talks with lawyers and everything. And again, As far as off the record stuff is, I'm going to obviously keep, any mention of you and, your disagreements with your dad really out of it, because I know that's a very private personal matter. And that's not even germane to the entire video period. We just obviously we're going to look into it. And I think listen, completely off the record over here, I think the best thing that can happen now is like obviously make these donations, and that's really what it comes down to. If you've been having these arguments behind the scenes, maybe the best way is to say, listen, this wasn't the most ethical way to really handle this situation, and you should have been upfront about it years ago. But the money hasn't disappeared, right? And this is, in my opinion, like if the money hasn't gone to like Lamborghinis or a mansion or some stupid shit, then it can still go to the right places and do the right thing, and that's all that matters, right? That's all anybody wants to see. If this was a situation where $660,000 went to like a fucking like epic video game collection, then I would fucking be incredibly pissed, and like I would be so fucking scathing that it would be absolutely out of character for me. But if the money is there in the accounts, then it should just be donated to the right charities, and finding a beneficiary as early as even like next week is probably what you and that team should be doing. And I'm not saying the Open Hand Foundation has to shut down. I think going year after year, if you're going to go down this road, then writing a check to these companies, whether or not that money is a big enough amount, because like looking at these filings, you're making tens of thousands up to like six figures. That's enough to make differences. And if you're going to tell people that you're donating to these charities, then you should just make that happen year after year. That's all that I think should be done. And I think you do have a way out of it, right? Like, again, the money wasn't misappropriated. That is the best silver lining here, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it has to go to where you said it was going to go, ultimately. I think it'd be worse if you didn't give it to the organizations that you've already named, I mean, even if you think that they aren't the best, unfortunately, you said it was going to go there. If you don't send it there, you've just been lying. So it just has to go to where you said it was going to go. That's where people believed it was going when they donated.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, listen, like the money's there. You just give it to the people that you said that your organization was giving it to, and that's the end of that. That's like, I think that is like, and Carl, feel free to disagree with me. I think that absolutely puts you in a very good position in front of the rest of the world. It's not like you're fucking Logan Paul where you took $1 million of CryptoZoo and you're not giving it back. That money hasn't even disappeared. It's still there. The right thing can be done. So it's just a matter of, going past the structure and the mismanagement of that organization and just doing the right thing,
Yeah.
Putting the foot down, and that's it. Because you're the face of this organization, and I definitely think, if you push hard, no matter what issues are in this organization or what you've talked to with these companies, you can still donate that amount of money. And I don't think all will be right. People will be helped, You'll be furthering a very noble cause, especially in your mother's memory. And I think that's the most important thing.
And I would I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't like playing dumb. I don't particularly like the comments that Jirard made saying that obviously you know something's wrong. And obviously Open Hand knows something is wrong because, as you've said, you've been in meetings, you've been in contact with lawyers, etc. So obviously there's a problem. But then Jirard is trying to tell me that, no, everything's ethical, everything's legal, we've done nothing wrong, etc., etc. When obviously no reasonable person would think that's the case. So just maybe consider, you probably are anyway, but just, I don't know, just say, if you're going to make another comment, make it more honest,
Sure.
At least from the
organization.
Yeah, from Open Hand, like from Open Hand,
no,
like
not
official.
You've been great. Like, this is a great conversation with you. A lot. Like, these conversations, I'll be honest, are so tough to have with anybody, just because, like, again, that's like, I'm not here to make allegations that I think are unfounded. So I'm not blaming you for like, fucking tax defrauding or like embezzlement or like laundering cash. Because if I wanted to prove that, I could have already proven it and confronted you. We're just looking at a situation of like, legitimate, like one could construe this as a charity fraud situation, right? Like money was supposed to go, didn't go somewhere, but best case scenario, things can be redone, and things can be amended. So that's really all it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The public wants honesty. I think the public's pretty smart. So if OpenHand, if I just gave them these comments from OpenHand, the public is not going to like that at all, because it's just not reasonable. So definitely, going forward, OpenHand or whoever talks publicly should be just completely straight up with how they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, honestly,
I
that's
mean,
all I can really say. Go ahead.
Do you guys think the comments we made to you made you to believe that we were hiding the money?
No, to me, it was just like the money was there in the account, but there was just no beneficiary. So when we watched the Indie Land, streams back to back, right, all of them, and we hear that the money is going to Foundation A, B, and C, and then Jacques is telling us, no, we're still looking for people. That's a fraudulent statement. That's the issue we have. And most people really, yeah.
Yeah. And just just to be clear too, Indieland is the only thing that I'm a part of. Any other fundraiser, whether it be private or public within the OpenHand, I have nothing to do with. Just to be clear, because like Indieland didn't really start making any large amounts until like 2 or 3 years ago in the way of making an impact. So like when you see there's 655, that's not just from Indieland, that's from other stuff. So like I have nothing to do with any of that. I have the amount of what Indieland has raised, and that's the amount that I'm going to dictate to donate. It's very close to the total amount, but I just want to be clear with you guys, because I'm trying to do the right thing here and not get in trouble any more than I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look,
right,
before
guys,
we end this, I don't think there's a lot of trouble personally. I think if you got the money there, it can be appropriated the right way. Because honestly, the audience, they want to see a good ending to everything. If you were buying Lamborghinis or mansions, like I said, whole different story. But I think if this money can be appropriated right, this can obviously end in a very good way with people being helped. That's it. But yeah.
Well, that's the only way to move forward, anyways. I mean, there's no other way to go about it. It's just something that has to be done, and whatever the outcome is. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jirard.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Take care.
Before I let you guys go, I just want to reiterate, if you could just keep the family stuff to a minimum of like this topic, the dementia stuff. It's not that easy. It's never been easy, and it's very personal, and that's why this whole thing has been so difficult.
I'm keeping it to the charity and like the money and why it hasn't moved. I won't personally be mentioning anybody family related and the personal hell that you honestly have to go through. That's like a fucking no for me personally. So yeah, on my end, and I'm sure on Carl's end, that's something that obviously I think we can abide by. That's just an ethics thing for any journalist, really.
I feel like aside from the Billy Mitchell stuff, I'm usually not too, I generally keep it pretty factual, or I don't. I'm not like a drama. I do talk about drama, but I'm like a Keemstar or something. Like I don't go too hard. I just sort of keep it pretty factual, and I don't really provide much commentary or anything on top of that. So I won't do anything that you'll find completely disrespectful.
Yeah. But we are going to just obviously talk about the story as it is, and it's a tough story, but I think it's. Do
you guys have a timeline roughly when it's coming out? Just because I want to be able, not to get ahead of it, but I want to be able to like how much time do I have to force the organization to donate the money and to, because like this isn't just a matter of like donate the money and be done. Like I'm gonna resign myself of Indie Land and dissolve the event and walk away from all of it, because I this is just gonna, I know the internet's gonna run with this and beat me to the pulp, and I don't want to have anything tying this back to me ever again, and just move on, you know. If I do Indie Land, this year we're talking about Indie Land not even being a charity event, but just being a networking event / game jam for developers, just because the amount of good that the space does. I mean, we're half a charity event and half of an indie game incubator for other people, right? Like we help developers find publishers, and we've, you know, sometimes I publicly invest in a game if I think it's really great and I want to support them. And there's a lot of great memories and great moments and great things founded out of the positivity of what Indie Land's supposed to be. And, you know, I want to keep Indie Land going in the sense of that. But after this, I just don't think I can do that anymore. And if I do, there's going to be zero charity aspect to it. It'll just be for indie developers specifically. But anyways, I didn't know, is this like a thing I have to worry about tomorrow? Do I have a couple of days? Like what's the vibe?
Carl, when are you releasing?
I had a plan, but
is it
I
the
wasn't
same day that you told me, or?
We'll talk about it. I don't know, and I don't want to think about it right now. Because honestly, Jirard, I wasn't even going to talk to you. So I sort of had a plan, but now that I've spoken to you, you've told me more of your side. So I got to have a think about. I got to change some stuff, you know. I got to incorporate that and think about what I want to do.
Sure.
But yeah, mine is contingent, obviously, on Carl. So we'll talk about it. But you know, we'll get back, and if we need any other comment or something, then yeah, we'll talk to you.
Yeah,
about
I mean,
it.
I think
Again,
if you do want to, if you want to write something. If there's any updates on your end, let us know. You know, so just keep in touch.
Yeah, and honestly, cool. I really do. I just wanted, before we end this call, I really do think that because of the circumstances, yeah, it's, in my opinion, pretty unethical. But again, the very big silver lining is the money is there, according to every PP filing that I've seen. It can all be like done right. You know, this isn't a situation of actual embezzlement or, you know, money being moved to the fucking Cayman Islands or some cryptocurrency offshore. This is a situation that can be rectified for very positive sakes. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jirard.
Right, take care, man. Bye.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yeah. You too. That's all she wrote, man. We got it.
Yep.